You ever wake up just completely baffled by a dream? One minute you're flying over your city, the next you're in a high school exam you totally forgot to study for, and your teacher is your childhood dog? We've all been there. But what if those totally bizarre, illogical dreams aren't just random static? What if there's a hidden logic to them, a kind of scientific code that we can actually crack? Well, let's dive in and see if we can figure this out.
Okay, so check this out. This is the puzzle that really kicks off our whole investigation. On the left, we've got a real-life event. Super simple, totally calm, a positive invitation to give a talk. Simple enough, right? But then look at the right. That's the dream it triggered, an absolute nightmare. It's chaotic, it's filled with rejection and shame, and a desperate need to escape. So how on earth does that lead to this?
And that's the question, isn't it? Why the dramatic disconnect? How does something so positive in the real world spark such a deeply negative dream? This crazy mismatch, that's our biggest clue. And we're going to use it to solve this whole mystery together.
All right, let's treat this like a real investigation. We've got our case file, the dream. But to really analyze the evidence here, we can't just guess. We need a totally new set of tools, a new framework to understand what's really going on inside the dreaming mind.
So let's look at the emotional journey of this dream. It's a total roller coaster. And notice, it's not a smooth ride at all. It just jumps from feeling isolated to this overwhelming shame, then a frantic escape, and then suddenly a rescue. These really sharp, abrupt emotional shifts, that's the key piece of evidence we need to focus on.
So to make sense of these emotional leaps, we're going to bring in a concept from a framework called the Brain Kinematics Model. And the first tool we're going to use is a really cool idea called curvature. It's basically a way to mathematically measure the path our mind takes, whether we're awake or sound asleep.
So what exactly is curvature? Well, you can think of it as a measurement of emotional turbulence. If your day is pretty calm and your thoughts are just flowing smoothly from one thing to the next, that's low curvature. But a dream, with all its wild plot twists and massive emotional swings, that has incredibly high curvature. It's literally a measure of the jaggedness of your mental state.
And this is a perfect way to visualize it. A low curvature state, that's like driving down a nice, straight, calm road. It's predictable, it's stable. High curvature, on the other hand, is that wild roller coaster. It's nothing but sharp turns, sudden drops, and just pure chaotic energy. So in our case, the waking event was that calm road, but the dream was the roller coaster.
So let's apply this new tool to our evidence. The waking invitation had a curvature of pretty much 0. I mean, it was emotionally straight, no twist or turns. The dream, though, its curvature was through the roof. And this mathematical difference just makes our mystery even weirder. How does a 0 curvature input produce such a high curvature output? Where is all that jagged energy coming from?
And right here, this is where we find our main suspect. The reason for this huge mismatch isn't the event itself. Nope, it's what that event triggers deep down in our memories. The model calls these powerful, pre-existing emotional patterns memory cliches. They're like these potent echoes of past experiences that just come roaring back to life in our dreams.
So how does this whole thing work? Well, first you have the trigger. In our case, the invitation. That simple trigger then awakens these really powerful old memory cliches. Maybe feelings about being judged or performing in front of people. Then the brain does something amazing. It blends the new, calm event with these old, emotionally charged echoes. And because those old echoes are so intense, they just completely take over, reshaping the story and giving the dream its high curvature roller coaster feel.
Okay, so we're starting to get why the dream felt the way it did. But what about who was in it? Let's take a look at the characters. Because it turns out they are not random at all. They're actually more like suspects, recruited for a very specific purpose.
This idea is just fascinating. Your dreaming brain is basically a movie director. It doesn't just grab people from your memory at random and throw them on screen. It actively casts them, or recruits them, to play the exact roles needed for the dream's emotional script. Every single character is there for a reason.
And here's the logic behind that casting call. It's pretty clear, right? If the dream script requires a feeling of shame, the brain might cast some old bosses or maybe peers from a past job. If the script needs a shot of fear, it'll probably cast an authority figure. And if you need a rescue, it'll find someone in your memory who fits the role of a helper. The characters are chosen because they are the perfect emotional fit for the part.
So let's pull all these threads together. We've looked at the evidence, the wild curvature of the dream, we've identified the main culprit, those memory cliches, and we've even understood the casting of the characters. I think we have everything we need to finally close this case and reveal the true purpose of this seemingly bizarre dream. This quote from the research really just nails it. Dreams are basically a form of nightly emotional maintenance. They're designed to take those high curvature emotional leftovers from our past, process them, and discharge all that jagged energy. This helps us stabilize our feelings and make sense of all our experiences.
So what's the big takeaway for you? It means that your weirdest, most nonsensical dreams, they're not a sign your brain is broken. They're not a glitch, they're a feature. It's your mind's natural, healthy process of weaving today's new experiences into the much larger story of your emotional life. It might look and feel chaotic, but it's actually incredibly important.
And that leaves us with one last thought to take with you to bed. Now that you know your brain is a director, constantly blending the present with the past, what old memories, what powerful memory cliches of your own do you think will be recruited to help shape your dreams tonight?